Okay, let's get started again. Now we kind of like arrived at that quite. Oh, I see. Okay, we have more or less arrived at the notion that failure is a determining factor. Okay, shall we discuss it in an open, like if you have burning questions that that are worth discussing, we can always do that as well. Actually, last time I didn't get any questions. Do me the favor, yeah, if you have questions throughout the lecture, write it on a little note and give it to me at the end of the lecture. I will read them out. Yeah, so this is still my promise, and I had not a few of questions last time that actually came to the front. A lot of personal questions are lined up in person, which is fine too, but use the medium, yeah? So it's there for you. Okay, so we kind of concluded that there are many notions of failure that kind of have created on an emotional count nearly a certain fear and risk averseness, yeah? And that there are deep lessons to be learned if you're interested in psychology or as well like our sensoric notions of the body. We actually don't have a sensor for danger. Yeah? We were pretty bad in estimating this, and this is why we invented risk, really, to compensate that. Yeah, we can kind of like warn each other and say like it's kind of dangerous when you're going there, so pointing out risk. Yeah, and the risk averseness. Pardon? The speaker, yeah, certainly. Is that better? So this notion of risk has certainly led us to a risk-averse society. We come to that later with Claudio, will have that already. But now we have to look a little bit at the opposite of what is actually success. Yeah, I have a colleague, and I come to him in a second, who says like, success, don't be crazy, we cannot quantify success. And he has a point there, yeah? But let's try at least. So, what is success to you? Where did you feel the last time, retrospectively speaking, looking back in time? When did you feel the last time you were successful? Okay, I take the joke away. Just look at me. Yeah? This was one answer, and I was impressed by the student. But this is, of course, not what I mean. Well, it's a good answer. Yeah? This is granted for everybody. But the success, what was the success last time you came across it?
Graduation.
Graduation. So when you had the hat on and then the big ceremony and you had time to celebrate. Yeah? This is important. Big lesson for project management. In many projects there were few parties to be celebrated. Yeah? Celebrate the success. Yeah? This is very important. Okay, so the celebration, yeah? A ceremony. Very good. Something else?
When I finished the marathon run, when I went the marathon run.
Okay. Over the finish line, or when you eventually made it back from South Shields. I think there are two successes. One is getting there, and the other success is getting actually back. Yeah, so here, one was a qualification, I take it, yeah, with education, and here the physical aspiration, yeah, of surviving the torture of pushing yourself to the limits, yeah. So this is interesting, yeah. Here was the notion from pain involved. What about the news?
Pain as well.
Oh, okay. So first pain, and when we are over it, and then we feel success. Yeah, there's a deep lesson there in psychology that you don't really feel successful if it's too easy. Yeah? So maybe another notion? The danger is we do later on the brainstorming. I hope not that this is one of the aims. Let's make it a painful experience. This is hopefully not what you're striving for. Okay, there are different ones. I'll give you the official first. Project success is the satisfaction of stakeholder needs and is measured by the success criteria as identified and agreed at the start of the project. This is actually still the same in the 2012 version, yeah, in the newest. What's interesting is, what is an alternative for needs? Pardon? This is a ambiguous translation. I think it goes emotion in the right direction, but it's actually not what needs are. What is needs when you're doing the run? What are the ultimate needs whilst you're running?
Oxygen and water, maybe?
Yeah. Oh, I like you think still about space, being out there and running. Don't forget the oxygen. Yeah. So there is oxygen, yeah, the air around you, and of course water. Yeah. So those are needs. What would have been nice to have?
Strength. You need strength. Ability to run.
Yeah, ability. Encouragement. Yeah. Okay, those are soft notion. I like it. We get here in good terrain.
Good weather.
Good weather. Yeah. So those go actually beyond the needs. Yeah. Those are maybe additional wishes. So what I try to emphasize here, this is already compromised. Yeah. It's a focus on needs. It's not really what the stakeholder wanted. So we have shifted from that. If you come with this definition, they go to a different delivery guy, yeah? or a different product development team, different project manager. Yeah, this is an important notion. Okay, other ones. This is associated to famous people, but it's associated to different famous people. So I really don't know who really said that. Success is getting what you want, and happiness is liking what you get. So there's already this surreal divide, yeah, between. Were you both happy after the qualification and ceremony?
Very, very happy, yeah.
Very happy. Okay. And after the run, happy. Even happier when you made that back to Newcastle. No, okay. That stops that. Okay. That is a notion associated to different celebrities from the past. And here a very grim one, and it's a very big notion in this of truth. Yeah, this is worth considering in a lot of depth when you come to the conceptual phase. Success has always been a great liar. Yeah, from Nietzsche, and showing that even if you are successful, sometimes the client changes his mind. He sees something new, and in a way you haven't achieved really client satisfaction. Yeah, so there is a grim notion of that behind this. Yeah, so success is something that can vary a lot. Yeah, so let's have a little bit a look at examples that we understand as well the notion of success. And I promised you this actually. It's a designer that Jorn Utzon, and he won the Pritzker Architecture Prize, and he was a very promising architect that just started, well, he had not just started, but he had a few small projects, and that was the first big competition that he really won. Yeah. So, oh, by the way, I use here a lot of real products because they're easy to show. Yeah, I have as well later on a service actually in between. They make as well incredible good examples for success or failure, but there is often not something to show with it. Does that make sense? Yeah. So it's a little bit more conceptual. So anyway, this beautiful piece of design that he put in the landscape became World Heritage. Within the time was built in the 60s, no, before the 60s, in the 60s to the 70s, yeah, sorry, that way around. And then has become as well a city symbol, yeah, of a capital city in the world. And I'm talking about the Sydney Opera House. There is a hidden story to this. This is actually it from the inside. I heard last time some have been there before and were impressed. So that was quite interesting to me, because are there many operas in New Zealand or Australia? Has anybody been there? Okay, you. How many operas or theaters have you seen?
Not that many.
Yeah. It was really a status at the time, yeah, of bringing classic cultural elements to Australia that were before not valued. And did you watch actually an opera or musical or something?
No, I went to comedy.
Oh, to comedy.
Yeah.
Was it good for comedy?
It wasn't the best room actually, but it was
Oh.
funny.
Okay, not good for comedies, but I've heard for operas is actually quite astonishing. So yeah, but on more famously, it's probably that. Yeah, so the outside. That was well recently. They had a beautiful laser light show there, and that looks quite spectacular. So here's a question: success or failure? Success. Okay. Who else thinks success? This is good. I like this. We have at least half of the audience that thinks it's a success. Yeah, then I would give it probably 25%. They're still thinking, should I participate in this voting or rather see what the outcome? So we can say a majority is certainly thinking it's a success. And the sad story is hidden behind it. Yeah? The only notion that I want to say at this point is that this architect never participated in the competition again and actually withdraw more or less from architecture. This is a lie. He still did on personal request particular projects, but that was all local stuff. He didn't go out in the world stage anymore. And he built actually pretty cool villas in Mallorca. Yeah? If you again back in Mallorca, I don't know really why, but he built a house himself there and actually removed himself from the public sphere. He felt that this project was a huge failure and had like.
It took 17 years to build.
Yeah, well, we come to that in a second. So what is that? Who knows this? Yeah, the Eurostar. This is a train. What is it doing? Yeah, crossing the channel. It's a channel tunnel. And what does it do? What does it now do? This is amazing. This is one of my favorite projects. I had heated debates if that is a success or failure. Success? Who thinks success? Okay. Oh, this time we are more indifferent about it. Yeah. So there was only a quarter. Have more people decided not to participate in that game? Yeah. So a quarter think it's a success. I think it's a success. They've actually upgraded the system recently, and they have made the journey from Paris to London 20 minutes shorter. I thought that was amazing. Then my colleague said, like, do you know how much it cost? And the joke was then they should have recruited the best-looking models, male and female, free champagne every journey, and after 20 years we would have still had a lot of cash left. Yeah, so he was very cynical about it. Yeah, so this is a bad evaluation. It shows you that my colleagues are slightly have different aspirations. Let's put it that way. Yeah, but there is a big notion behind it. Yeah. So, I mentioned this. Yeah, this is not such a cool photo to show. Yeah, but it was actually the UK inland tax revenue. They had a new IT system, amazing thing. Shouldn't even cost that much. Yeah, the contractors negotiated around 100 million, mostly hardware to be fair. Yeah, so they had to put physically stuff in. And they never specified what the initial budget was. That is maybe already an indication where it went wrong. And here is the key for it. Yeah? So I've just named the top 4 really. Oh no, I forgot the Thames Barrier. But so Sydney Opera started off with a budget of 2.5 million. Was supposed to take how long? This was the right answer actually. Do you remember how long it was? Sydney?
Years, I think it was the 50s, the 70s, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was supposed to be actually 2 to 5 years. They knew that there would be challenges, yeah, but it took 17 years. Yeah, and they started with a budget of 2.5 million and arrived at 87 million. This is not when you have a very happy client, quite frankly. Thames Barrier was quite interesting too. Started off with a budget of 23 million, then went to 400 million. And this is a channel tunnel budget, and this was pointed out basically as an alternative of models serving champagne along the train for free. This was an alternative use of the 11 billion. Yeah. And then we have the UK inland revenue. That was fascinating because 35 is actually a lie. This is literally what they had budgeted. This is excluding the hardware. So there was hardware as well involved of roughly 100 million. But this is like anecdotal. I asked a colleague who actually worked as a project doctor on this project, and he said it was roughly 100 million. And I'm not quite sure what the initial budget was, but it wasn't that much. And it cost them 3.2 million, largely because they overcharged some very wealthy companies in tax. and booked it. So this is a very bad idea. They come back with additional claims on like potential percentages that they get in terms of their capital that is lying around, and claims, of course. Yeah. The A380, that was a project type of the large Airbus that some of you may have used already. There was a massive delay because the parts get actually assembled in different localities. What gets Airbus? What gets assembled in the UK? Does anybody know?
The engines.
Yeah, engine is a good start. Yeah, who's doing that?
Rolls-Royce.
Yeah, Rolls-Royce. But Airbus is as well in the UK. Where? They have their own football team, but this is kind of geeky. It's in the fourth league if you look anywhere. Yeah, but okay, it's in Wales. Yeah, we rebuilt the wings. This is pretty cool. Yeah? So wings made in the UK, and yeah, so just the delay. Yeah, that was not even like anything like going wrong, but the delays with like promises, delivery times, and all that. They have to pay the customers. Yeah, so the customer they make basically by their unit money. And they counted against it 6.4 billion. But Boeing helped us this year with an even more impressive one. There was a small incident. Luckily, nobody got seriously hurt. Actually, I have to make that. I just know that nobody got killed. But should be careful with the statement. But Boeing, basically, the 777, had a little bit a problem with failures of actually the new equipment that they had fitted. It didn't really work out. And that came to 18.2 billion. This is the cost of recalls and basically looking into it and outfitting them. Yeah, so this is quite horrendous. What can go wrong with it? Yeah, this is on a budget level. Yeah, we still have to ask ourselves, is it a success afterwards? Yeah, this is our project theorem on which we get evaluated as project managers. Yeah? And then MOD Parliament. Yeah, actually I don't want to just pick on them. This is really evil. So, but my favorite one was really, and I didn't even put the money against it because this was just priceless. They basically commissioned like a huge plane carrier ship, yeah, a massive ship. It was even here in the northeast. Yeah, it was anchoring in North Shields. Yeah, fabulous time. But they decommissioned actually the planes before they were built. Yeah, so this means you have this wonderful. Carrier that literally has no UK planes on it, but okay. So this is how it can go. So pretty grim. So what do we do with this? Why do I even mention that? This is of course where we can draw very deep lessons from. Yeah, and this is kind of the underlying notion. There was this famous quote from NASA that what is a famous quote?
3 to 1.
Pardon?
3 to 1.
Oh, no, sorry. I wasn't thinking in percentages. I like that you did already the statistical risk analysis, how many projects failed. But what is a famous quote that was used or famous for NASA?
Small step.
The what?
The small step.
The small step.
Yeah, from what's it again? Like a small step for men.
Oh, a small. Yeah, actually, this is probably the more famous one. You're spot on. I was actually, failure is no option, yeah, but okay, nobody knew this, but okay, then the joke won't make any sense now. So there's actually a recent report written from Hoffman and Kut and those other guys, and they're actually the project management office that sits as well in Columbia University, and they actually have now written this new document, and it was just wonderful. Failure is an option, and we hopefully learn out of it. And this is as well what I would encourage you to. This is where I will shut down from all employers that see this talk. I would encourage you to be brave enough and go out with your knowledge and understanding and do smart failure. Yeah, so what do I mean by that? You try something, it fails. Don't do the same again. Try something new. Yeah? Try again, fail better. Yeah, okay, you maybe don't get the bonus for the project yet, yeah, but maybe free pizza. Yeah? You should really encourage this. I have a colleague Yeah, Eddie, who's actually suggesting like options how you should be rewarded for it. Watch it. It's entertaining TED video. Yeah, Eddie's smart failure, and I'm a huge fan of this concept. Yeah. So in other words, we find solution, and they may solve the problem, but it's often not the right answer in the first place. Yeah. So there's iteration possible.
Rob, but
Yeah?
you know about these budgets, obviously they've got such a huge difference between the first budget and then when they finish the project, whether they've got this contingency or how do they get money for this? Where this money comes from to finish the project if they've got such a gap?
Yeah, this is a good question, and I can give you an answer because now we have actually, again, this is another professional that has specialized on projects to realize when they run over budget, what should we do? And this is a new consultant. Yeah? This is quite hip at the moment, and he does IT. Well, he's focused on America, to be fair. And he came to the UK. It was about stock market, and they wanted to line them up with faster cables and improve the performance, which would have meant that it had to do with algorithms in a nutshell. And he did actually the evaluation. Should the taxpayer pay the additional 2 billion? Yeah, but this wasn't yet the final budget. They knew this. They knew what to do for now, but there was probably to come more. And then he evaluated it for them and figured out that actually the 2 billion that they had spent, and that was the budget, was already gone, and to actually go on, they would have to spend 4 times the same. So you could actually make a very accurate prediction of that, and that meant that the government actually accepted 1 billion on top to actually close the project down and remove the infrastructure and actually make it a project failure. Yeah. So this is a new thing. In the past, what did you do in the spaghetti challenge when the spaghetti tower was still wobbling and the time was running? What did you do with the resources? Did you evaluate, maybe we should use the resources for the next spaghetti challenge? What happened? No, you threw all the material in, yeah, the resources flew in, yeah, and this is exactly what happens here. So especially with prestige projects, and if you as a project manager lobby it, this is a very powerful thing. We come to that, project mediation. How do we interact with media? Who do we communicate with? This is a very strong thing. So we are lobbying often for more money. Look how much we have invested already. And as well, in Sydney's case, this was not really an option for failure. This is as well why it took so long. They had to actually lobby in Parliament to pay more. There was an agreed frame already. But you see it even in recent projects. Yeah? The Olympics, this is quite interesting, more temporary one. Started off with how much? Does anybody know how much the initial budget was? I take guesses. How much do you think it is, Olympics in London?
120 billion something.
Yeah, no, this is too high. But
The stadium or
the whole package.
2 billion?
Yeah, this is actually pretty, 2.5 billion what the parliament accepted in 2005 to go ahead with the Olympics. How much did it cost? 7.5 before they even started. How much is it costing now? 13.8 at the moment. Yeah. So there is a strategic misrepresentation. Cynics say it's lying. I get bullied when I say lying, so I say strategic misrepresentation. People are more happy with that. To actually get a bit, yeah.
How do these major projects always go so over budget by such a massive margin all the time?
Yeah, there's a planning association that I don't want to involve now, but there's a game to this, and we come to that next week. When we start thinking about the life cycle at the conceptual and feasibility stage, there is an issue. If you are costing it accurately, you leave space for development, then the budget looks very ambiguous. And think about it, Olympics, yeah, tightly budgeted and like everything as bespoke, no technology advancement, 2.5 billion. But then, you start doing it. Some sponsors jump in and say like, hey, we give you 100 million. Actually, did I give that much? Yeah, 100 million to write Coca-Cola over it. Oh, it was Powerade or something like that. Yeah. So, and then they are like, oh, okay, we can update that. We fund that as well a little bit. And that is where you have incentive-based funding, basically, that comes in. And it grows it. And in reality, the idea is that it repays over time. They have made the case at some point for that. But it's often quite difficult to really quantify. The UK government has as well, for that reason, we have a major project association in the UK, and they're advising. So for example, on the Crossrail project, they were actually using a mathematical formula which assumes that you actually will arrive at 75% more of the initial planning costs. So this is just tailored in. You come up with your real planning cost, and they just like literally put 75% on top for evaluation. So this has a bad dynamic. Yeah? There are different reasons from major project to major project. Yeah? And some it's negotiated on grounds of political means. Yeah, I don't want to say that there are certain fees involved along the way. And in other cases, it's unforeseen issues with supply chain. So in a linear world, the supply chain exists. In another example that I'm very familiar with, when we had in Berlin the new city center being built, Potsdamer Platz, Berlin rented all the train carriages for cement, all, in Europe. Came from everywhere over Europe. This is just what nobody else can foresee. If you have your project and you want one carriage filled with cement, you know the pricing for it. This carriage is not there anymore. Yeah, so there are finite elements that are very difficult to forecast. This is when we come to the complexity theorem of the environment. But there are certain issues with that. We will work through it. But good question, thank you. Have I kind of answered it a little bit?
Yes, yeah, you have.
I have opened Pandora's box there, yeah, so there's a lot more to it
It's
actually.
just like a massive trend though, isn't it, throughout time?
Well,
These projects.
yeah, but we have as well a certain time. Yeah, so people look for the cheapest available way of doing it, and then if you want to have the contract, there's as well a bidding implication. Yeah, so there are certain issues with it. Dependency of project success. We are running a little bit behind with the timing now, but it's quite all right. I will just make it away by summarizing the project success. We have different elements, yeah? So it depends on who is in charge in defining really what success means for you. So this can be the individual, it can be a team effort. In your case, in the project that we are doing together, it will be a team effort. The company, stakeholder expectations of quality, of course. Then as well the context, here again we had them earlier, spatial dimensions, norms, like spatial is as well where you do it. Yeah? Do you have weather, normally we have weather, but does it impact? Norms chosen or put upon you. So there are different elements, and we have many more. To actually divide success, to just make you think a little bit about it, there's managing the team successful. This is having a great experience, like enjoying it in a way, and coming to success for everybody really. And successful management of a project, this is a different thing. This is achieving the goals and objectives. That's very specific. It's like performing to budget, for example. Or if the budget changes, then you have to have a methodology, a project methodology, that kind of announces it at the beginning. Yeah, so it can be, for example, I've seen that I have a lot of Eurocopter is a wonderful example. They had a helicopter that could fly on high mountains to bring people out that kind of got lost in rock climbing and couldn't be flown out. And they knew that they didn't have a system yet, so that was a development project for the rotor, because it's like thin air and helicopters have certain issues at certain heights. And they knew that would cost something, so they didn't actually fix a budget to that element. Yeah, so with basically shifting, for example, to parts specific budgets and performing within that remit and saying okay, here we have a development budget. This can be a very powerful tool to still having the cost implications and performing to the delivery tools. Yeah? So it has as well to do with the scope, how you set it. Yeah. Then achieving greater benefits for the project's business or supply chain. Yeah, this is actually benefits management. We have that in a separate lecture. And then achieving long-term strategic advantage with projects. Yeah, I've separated it there, but should be really together, and creating prosperity and visionary legacy with a project. Arguably the case example for that is the Olympics. But I do always the test. Can I just ask, has anybody taken up an Olympic sport? Yes, one. No, but is anybody doing an Olympic sport? Not on this level. Okay, a few. Yeah. So did you do it before as well? Yes. No. Okay, you have really started. So in a way, sometimes it does work. Yeah. So the idea was as well that it's of course a media spectacle that actually brings people to sport and live a healthier life, arguably. Yeah. So okay, but we will come to that as well when we talk about major projects. So let's go one back. We know that success has largely to do with stakeholder success, and that we have to manage this as well in a certain way and actually contextualize it. So how can we do this? Very quick, stakeholders. This is actually a bad keyword. Stakeholders, when you go into a Google that hasn't been used by an academic like me, for me the first definition is actually the right one because I use it a lot. But if you use it like on a neutral account and you search it, you will actually see that we have to look after our customers, our shareholders, and our employees. This is actually taken from a business web page. But then a different view to this is difficult to quantify, but it's really down to the question of how much your organization is trying to achieve in understanding, predicting, influencing what other people think and do. And that is actually quite informed. This is actually from the Major Project Association, as well based in Oxford, and they have looked into that quite some time. And quite frankly, it depends a lot. Is anybody of you in a company that is very customer or client oriented? Actually, what terminology do you use? Do you use customer or user? If yes. Customer, yeah, this is good. Anybody client-oriented? Yeah? And quite client-oriented. Do you do consultation as well? Or okay. This is good. I'm quite impressed. There's normally a divide. If you call your client, then you're often not very customer-focused, quite frankly. So there's a terminology implication as well, but we see now a shift. So it takes slowly but surely its fruits. So in a way, we are going in the right direction. Okay. In a nutshell, if I would have to define it, and I go very quickly through it, we actually work in the seminar in details through it. Stakeholders are individuals or groups that have an interest, are affected by project process or the outcomes. I've listed a few, we do that in quite some detail. Why are they so important? Because most of the times those guys are responsible for the project failure. Not really, it's because we haven't really managed it to their expectations. Yeah? So their expectations were invisible to us and we kind of run into it with a project. Yeah? Coming down to bad communication between relevant parties, a lack of consensus, unclear objectives, insufficient senior management stakeholder support. So especially if the senior management or the company owner does deals that are not negotiated at project level, this can be very impacting. Peter Morris has put it a little bit different. He basically pointed out that with stakeholders we have to keep one thing in mind. Most projects are implemented by people, and when people become involved, perception, communication, agenda, power, and a whole raft of similar issues come into play and begin to change the design, regularity, and controlled intent of managers. Yeah? And this is very true. We will actually explore that later on again in the seminar, with our own expectations and see how we can negotiate them easily. I have as well guarding questions for this. This is really this is the famous name of Flyberg or Flyberg, as my friends like to call him. And he has actually done work for the World Bank. They have analyzed a whole raft of past projects from the World Bank and went basically in to look how can we actually identify stakeholders. And they did certainly this from a risk point. Now, I've worked myself on a World Bank project, and I can tell you, there comes a point where it disconnects. You're just basically managing risk. You don't do the proper stakeholder consultation with discovering expectations with it. But nonetheless, good paper, and he actually describes it as well, to be fair. So worthwhile having a look at. I won't read them out. But to be a little bit more pragmatic, the recommendation in literature certainly is to divide the stakeholders in a core team. Yeah? So those are sourced for expectations, core externals. Those are potentially the client that gives you an input, yeah? Key for success, but maybe passive. And then you have the rest worthwhile to inform, especially if it's a project where publicity could help you, yeah? Potentially getting more funding, for example, if you have like a tight budget. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Making a success concrete. I mentioned it already before. De Witt, he's still a professor, and he basically claimed it can't be really done. And if carried out, what purpose does it serve? Yeah? So it was the notion that there is a huge fluctuating element to it. But we can, of course, do so with our tools to a certain degree. And it's the project management success, how to plan, how to manage and deliver the project on time and budget, and added, of course, the quality, scope, and standards compliance and requirements that we have. Yeah, we do that later on in a lot of detail. Along that, I wanted to mention the project success criteria, because this is what we are going to use. And project success criteria, or in different literature also called key result area or critical success factors, are really a motivation tool for us as project managers and our project team, because we can achieve them and we can leave them behind us and we can see how we're actually progressing. Yeah, so never to under-evaluate, and best defined really by SMARTER. It's a tool, but I will go in a lot more detail with techniques and tools that are alternatively around. SMARTER, the last A is really coming from a past student. In 2009, there was a student from Chalmers who shouted in the back, and the most important is it's agreed. So SMARTER stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time limited. And yeah, thanks to him, it's now as well agreed. There were some other elements as well added to this. Yeah? Project success criteria can be as well measured in so-called key performance indicators. I think this is what we use quite a bit in the UK. Who has come across KPIs? Okay, quite a few. Oh, not so many from the UK. Internationally, we use a lot of KPIs, I think. Yeah, so it's normally largely agreed values by which performance and activities can be periodically and continuously measured. So you go back as the project is processing through the life cycle. Yeah, this is a very powerful tool. Additional notions that have been of interest is probably other evaluation tools for success in itself. And we evaluate often as well success on benchmarking. Yeah? This is a little bit what you had with me in the spaghetti challenge. Yeah? We were benchmarking the height within the competition against each other. Yeah? Then other ones are actually specifications, and more recently I see the game layer. Yeah? So when you don't have resources with game layers, it's kind of you can get hooked into it. There's a TED talk to this as well. Seth claims that if you use 7 game layers, you can manipulate into everybody into doing whatever he wants or whatever you want. So it's a dangerous tool. Use it with caution, and but worthwhile checking out probably on the TED talk. Okay, let me actually do one last case study to settle a little bit in where success can go wrong. Yeah. And that was really the wonderful case of the Large Hadron Collider. Does anybody know what that is? What is a Large Hadron Collider? Yeah. Switzerland, France, a little bit under Germany, but doesn't come to the top, so doesn't really count. Yeah. And it's literally to shoot like elements of particles onto each other with nearly light speed. Yeah, so you like send one with nearly light speed this direction and the other one this direction, and then you crash them, yeah? And then you look what happens. And it's done in a facility that does higher energy physics, and there was a news media man who actually looked into that, and he said like, oh mia, this is energy particles that are the same mass like the sun. This is crazy. Why would we want the sun on our planet? And then there were like beautiful notes coming out in the news, yeah? In the newspaper. CERN will produce potentially a black hole and eat up the planet Earth, yeah, and may destroy the world. That was another notion. This was actually quite interesting to see because they are mostly physicians and they don't really advertise. They're not proper project managers. They advertise, but in very targeted media elements. They target to other university professors, to students, to companies that are interested in that area. But they certainly weren't moved before into the mainstream light in that sense. And what was quite interesting was the core team or core externals. They didn't even see that as an issue to produce a black hole. They didn't even see an issue with it because they work with this notion quite a bit. Yeah, but then what was worse is they didn't really take that serious. So the senior press officer pointed out that test runs had been successful and the world hasn't been destroyed yet. Yeah? So this was literally the quote. I should have really quoted that. And then leading scientists pointed out it's quite hard to destroy the Earth, so they took it quite ironic. And now we have discovered kind of the boson Higgs particle, or the particle that was described by Higgs. And the rhetoric has dumbed down a little bit, yeah, or numbed down, not dumbed down, but certainly the concerns has been gone. This costs them quite a lot of additional money. Yeah? We have now side effects. Who knows Brian Cox? A few? Yeah, he's a professor in physics, and he's lobbying non-stop on BBC, yeah? National Television for Science, for Understanding. This is a direct result of this happening. Yeah? Before he was not like in the media, he was actually a physics professor. Now he's involved in media. Yeah, so projects have their own spin. Be aware on the areas that you're actually playing in. Yeah, this doesn't necessarily happen to every project team, but I would say huge project success. Some people would describe that again under the iron triangle with budget versus quality versus the timing as a failure. Yeah? So that is a game that we are playing. More in the seminar. Any questions at that point? Okay, still a little bit vague. We will make this vagueness go away in the seminar and build our own project. Yeah? If you have questions, just come to me. Yeah.
I'm not actually here. I've got to go home on Friday, so that means I miss a seminar. I'm concerned that I'm going to be missing out on really vital information. I just wanted to know what I could look at or for.
It's uploaded, but you have to...
Is it really detrimental that I miss?
In a way, we do like a workshop with your team. So this is kind of bad, but you can just have you worked through the seminar notes that I gave you.
Yeah, I've been going through them little bits by bits. I've been meeting with my team, and we're like, obviously, because we've got to do a presentation on Monday, which I'm not going to be here for either. So I'm coming back on Wednesday, you see, because I've got a family issue. But
it's quite alright, but just make sure that they address it and that they incorporate your notes.
Yeah, we know we've got a Facebook group and we've been talking to each other. We know a little bit about each other.
As long as you
like
keep
that.
the communication up, this is absolutely fine.
So there's nothing you'd like me to look into for Friday.